Hey Reject Nation, I'm Greg Alba.
Jonald!
We are going to watch today a video from a channel called RealLifeLore. This request comes from a man named Jan Valente. See, at our Patreon, we kind of have like a second channel going over there. We do TV show reactions for many shows. Would love for you guys to check that out, as well as fun weekly Q&As. I claim they're fun. I don't know what everyone else thinks, but they're still pledged. But one of our reward tiers is whatever video you request, we must definitely do. Odds are it's going to be a reaction. Rare is the day they ask for a discussion video, even though we always discuss them. Today is how the universe is way bigger than you think. So JN, my friend, my man who constantly vanishes and then comes back with a monologue in the strangest of vocabulary, I'm happy to cover this for you, man. You have been a long-time supporter for us. I think you've been around our Patreon since like day one, dude. And you rarely ever ask for anything. Rarely ask for anything. You're always so sweet and cynical about other things, but sweet about us, and that's why I love you, dude. You might not get along with some parts of the world, but you get along with us, and that's what counts in my heart. As long as you like me, we're okay. That's why I'm friends with all Republicans.
I thought I had a joke to go there.
There's no joke here. Republicans are okay in my book.
You know, it's good to be inclusive and tolerant of people who might not think the way that you think.
Remember that Disney star who brought a gun to the airport?
It's easy to forget that kind of stuff, you know?
I hope this video doesn't hurt my head.
Oh yeah, this will be even more than the history of the entire world.
This is a real-life lore video made possible by Squarespace.
Squarespace!
Make
Good old
your next move with
Squarespace.
a beautiful website from Squarespace.
Okay.
This is Earth.
Yes.
You live here on this planet somewhere, and everything that you've ever known is located right
Found
here.
footage of Earth.
But just how small exactly is
That's
Earth
not a
when compared
flat
to the
disk.
scale of the entire universe? Let's start by zooming out to where we can see
Now
our
that's the
nearest
Earth.
cosmic neighbor, the Moon. You may think that the Moon is very close to Earth since it dominates our night skies, but in reality the Moon isn't this close to our planet, it's actually about this far away.
Wow.
384,400 kilometers away from you right now on average.
One
You
plane
could fit
flight away.
30 entire Earths in between this distance.
Ah, that's
and
cool.
If you somehow were able to drive a car at a constant 100 kilometers per hour speed, it would take you about 160 days to drive the entire
That's
distance.
it, huh?
Despite
We
this
could drive to the
incredible
moon.
distance,
Yeah,
however,
road trip.
12 humans have actually set foot here, representing the furthest away that any
Ryan
individual
Gosling.
human has ever been away from the Earth, and one
a
of
great
humanity's
advertisement
greatest
for First
achievements. This is what the Earth would look like from there if you were standing there with them, and if you wanted to communicate with somebody back at home, it would take a message about 2.5 seconds to travel between you and them, since that's how fast the speed of light can travel at.
Whoa.
This is a photo that was taken on Mars, and that tiny dot that you see there is Earth as seen from the Martian surface.
Wow.
On average, Mars is an incredible 225 million kilometers away from Earth, but that
Which
distance can be as high as 401 million kilometers. That means that whenever humanity finally gets around to landing a human on the planet,
That's Matt
that
Damon.
person will be 986
Yeah,
times
it's
further
potato
away
farms
from
just
Earth than the
across that
astronauts
ridge.
who landed on the moon were. In
Wow.
addition, the time delay for sending a message from Mars back to Earth isn't just 2.5 seconds, it's actually more like 20 minutes each direction, which would render instant communication in the event of an emergency impossible.
Be hard to
When
have
we
a
zoom
text
out
argument
even
with that
further
guy.
away, we can look at the Voyager 1 space probe, which is the furthest away man-made object from Earth. It is currently located 138 AUs from the Earth. AU meaning astronomical
Australia's.
unit, which is the distance between the Earth and the Sun.
Okay.
Which means that Voyager 1 is 138 times further away from us than the Sun is. At some point
Damn.
on its
Wow.
long voyage, Voyager 1 turned its camera around and took this photograph. It may not look like much at first, but in my opinion, this is the greatest single photograph ever taken in all of human history.
Why?
This tiny, pale blue dot is Earth, and I don't think that anybody has ever said something as amazing about this as Carl Sagan when he said, "If you look at it, you see a dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever lived out their lives. The aggregate of all our joys and sufferings. Thousands
Renner.
of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines. Every hunter and every forager.
We're just living in a
every
sci-fi
hero
movie.
and coward.
Just a
every
bag of
creator
marbles in the
and
hand of Men in Black.
destroyer of civilizations. Every king and every
Jeremy Irons.
peasant. Every young couple in love. Every hopeful child.
Aw.
Every mother and every father. every inventor and explorer,
Tesla.
every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there.
That's great.
Suspended in a sunbeam. Voyager 1 is currently
Damn.
traveling at 17 kilometers every single second, but even at that speed, it won't break out of the reach of our solar system for another 30,000 years.
We've got time.
Once we go
Wow.
beyond the solar system, we arrive in our interstellar neighborhood. Here we shift to the light year unit of measurement, which is the distance that light travels in a full Earth year, or
Okay.
about 9.461 trillion kilometers. The star Proxima Centauri here is the closest other star to us other than our Sun, but it's still 4.24 light years away from us. To put that into perspective, if it was heading in the right direction, it would still take Voyager 1 over 70,000 years to reach it. In other words, if you drove your car at 100 kilometers an hour like in our previous example to the moon, it would take over 6 times longer than the entire age of the universe is
Wow.
just to finally get there, and it wouldn't even exist
Wildly
still when
not to
you
scale.
arrived. When we zoom out even further, we can see the entire Milky Way galaxy, inside of which Earth is located right here. This yellow dot is the furthest extent of humanity's radio broadcasts throughout history, which means that any possible aliens who live outside of this range are totally unaware of humanity's presence.
Damn.
It's complete silence outside of this yellow dot as far as we are currently aware.
They're
but
missing
the
out.
entire galaxy spans
We're
over
great.
100,000
Yeah, we got all kinds of cool
light-years
stuff
from
down
end
here.
to end. There are over 100 billion stars and over 100 billion planets inside our galaxy. But you have never seen the full glory of the galaxy at night, because 99% of the stars that you can see with the naked eye are limited to this small, tiny region right here. But even
Wow.
this massive galaxy is nothing compared to the rest of what's out there. Zooming out even further, and we arrive at the local group of galaxies, a
be so
collection
boring
of
out
54
there.
different galaxies that is about 10 million light years across.
I hate
But zooming
road
out
trips.
even further, we
Living-
can see
living
the
in the
Virgo
endless
supercluster,
vacuum.
of which the local group here is just a tiny segment of. There are at least 100 other groups of galaxies just like our own local group inside of here, and the distance from one side to the other is a mind-numbing 110 million light years. But even the
What's a
massive
light year,
Virgo
though? What's that?
supercluster is nothing
Okay.
but a quiet,
Virgos!
tiny lobe of the Great Laniakea supercluster, an enormous structure that is home to our galaxy as well as 100,000 other galaxies. The distance from one side to the other is 520 million light years, but from even
distance
there, we
light
can zoom
travels
out
in an
all
Earth
the
year.
way to the entire observable universe and see that even the titanic Laniakea supercluster is just a tiny and insignificant part of everything.
Wow.
This is the observable
We don't
universe, and
matter.
it contains everything that we know of. It is home to at least 2 trillion different and individual galaxies, which together contain more stars than there are grains of sand on the entire Earth. The distance from Earth to any side of the observable universe is 46.5 billion light years, which means that the entire width is 93 billion light years across. What's perhaps even more interesting, however, is what actually lies beyond the observable universe. Keep
One
in
day.
mind that the observable universe is all that we can currently see, and it's entirely
why it's called
possible
the
that the rest of the
observable.
universe
Yeah.
outside of it is vastly larger and more fantastic than we can possibly ever imagine. We simply don't know what else is out there, because the light from these incredibly distant places has not yet had enough time in the universe's history to reach us yet back on Earth. And the light from some places may never reach us at all. Because some parts of space very far away from
It's
Earth
funny how we
are
base it all
expanding
off
away
light.
from us faster than the speed of light, that means that the light from these
Observable.
places will never, in an infinite amount of time,
Observable
reach
universe.
Earth. Meaning that even if humanity is eternal and exists forever, there will still be an unknown number of places in the universe that we
baby.
will never know about or ever see. So, it is very likely that as unbelievably enormous as it seems, the observable universe is just a tiny slice of what we can currently see of the entire universe. According to the theory of cosmic inflation that was proposed by Dr. Alan Guth, if it is assumed that cosmic inflation began at 10 to the negative 37th of a second
Right.
after the Big Bang, and with the assumption that the size of the universe before inflation began was equal to its age times the speed of light, then this would seem to suggest that at the present day, the entire universe is 150 sextillion times larger than the observable universe.
We got the sextillions
That number,
down.
for reference, looks like this, with this many
my
zeros.
favorite number.
Let this number sink in for just a moment. This would be similar to you thinking that the entire observable universe, everything that you could see, was the size of a light bulb, but then realizing that in reality the entire universe is larger than the former planet of Pluto. Imagine a light bulb in the center of Pluto, but we inside the light bulb were totally unaware that Pluto existed outside of it, and that's a similar situation to this. We are all
jarring.
so unbelievably small, but you shouldn't worry, because all that means is that there is so much left out there for us to discover together.
I mean, we
It's an
haven't
optimistic.
even
This
covered
video
heaven.
was made possible
Yeah.
by
Or hell.
Squarespace. If you're
Heaven is
Wait,
just
that's-
above the observable
That's
space.
all outside the observable.
Hell is just
observability.
under the observable.
Galaxy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
Oh,
Hey,
no,
Squarespace
this
is great,
though,
guys.
yeah.
Squarespace is great.
Beautiful website.
If anything,
It's incredibly easy and can
there's one thing you should take away from this video. Go to Squarespace.
Oh yeah, yeah. One thing that's not that many light years away is a great website.
Squarespace.
And what's best of all is that you can get 10% off your first order by using the code RealLifeLore over at Squarespace.
We should do a live stream where we use this code and
Yeah.
create a website.
Be like, it's not a plot. It's not being
not plugged.
not being applicable.
At squarespace.com/RealLifeLore.
Wow.
As always, thank you so much for watching this video.
Thank you for making it. It's great. This video is like a year old, right?
What if we've discovered more universe since it dropped?
Yeah.
Where's the updated one come?
Dude, why go to the Griffith Observatory? You could just watch this video.
Yeah.
Really close.
See all of space.
Yeah. You know what I love about these kinds of videos, or even going to the Griffith, is how insignificant our lives are.
Yes.
We don't matter.
What we do here
Don't matter.
will echo all the way across the observable universe.
I'm just saying, like,
All 93 trillion.
most of what we do doesn't matter.
Most everything doesn't actually
it's
matter.
important that we exist. It's important that Earth exists.
It's important to us that we exist.
But what we do in Earth, you know, like economy and politics, all these things,
oh yeah.
don't really. But this is why we need a space force, man.
We may even have a space force.
Yeah.
We don't know what's outside of the observable space.
just
We need a space force to get cracking right away, man.
all we know is what's inside observable space. We won't have enough lifetime to travel that distance, but we should be prepared just in case trillions of years from now there's a threat.
I feel like going into space would be the most boring thing ever. I think like the first day or so would be the most fascinating time of your life. I think it'd be like nothing could top the level of fascination there.
Going to space.
Give it a week. I think you're gonna be like, this is the most boring time. All I'm doing is watching Netflix on this damn ship.
Going to space, the experience does seem like picking the greatest destination vacation and being confined to a small hotel.
Yeah.
like this is
Exactly.
incredible that I'm here.
But I can't
is-
leave my room.
I am special because so few people have done this. I can see past everything we know back home, and yet I'm just in this little can doing not a lot with the same 4 people.
Like, after a while, I would probably be like, guys, I'm gonna go out onto the outside of the spaceship because I'm bored. I would get so bored. It's like, imagine you're on a road trip for like a month. Yeah, that car just doesn't stop.
You're
Like,
peeing in cups
after,
and throwing it out
after
the
a while,
window.
you're
And
just like, I'm gonna sit on top of the car.
Yeah.
You know?
I need to get some kind of interesting thing happening around me. Nothing needs fixed out. Maybe that's why people in space movies are always willing to go outside the ship and like fix stuff.
Yeah, because
they're
it's
like,
boring.
I gotta get my heart rate up, and as dangerous and ill-advised as this feels,
super dull.
if I die this way, at least I died doing something.
You're not encountering life forms. You're literally looking at stars and shit that's like forever away.
You're sitting there making sure that all the machines on your spacecraft are functioning normally and all your vital signs are good, and maybe doing a little research, but otherwise you're just trying to kind of make it like it was back home.
If you do a drone shot over Los Angeles, it's beautiful. You watch a time-lapse video of Los Angeles from day to night, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
You sit in traffic for 1 hour, it's the most boring time ever.
Yeah.
It's a totally different experience to be confined and have a limited perspective on what you're looking at. I will say, though, that there's probably no life on these other planets because the Bible doesn't talk about it.
Yeah, like if God knows all, like he would have mentioned something.
He would have mentioned it. That book would have said it. And
He should have taken time out to be like, guys, even though you're never gonna see this, holy shit, some of the other stuff I've made, okay, it's not in the image of me like you guys are, but like,
yeah,
holy shit,
man, those are a lot of failed
you
experiments.
would
out
lose
there.
your shit if you could
God.
see some of my other work.
All these planets, I'm like, a little too big of a planet.
Honestly, the dinosaurs aren't extinct. I just moved them.
Yeah,
I was
man.
just like, I got a better place for this. Leave some of this behind, just to make it
Realize
fun.
you
but
guys couldn't coexist. That's the
Yeah.
thing. And I don't look like a dinosaur, so I don't want to make this.
I was like, I intended these to be much smaller. I apologize.
That's what we do. We make jokes because we can't.
Because we are insignificant and we're not also that great at math.
Half the languages, I'm like, what? When he's doing the math of inflation, size before equals age times speed of light. That's how I usually calculate my YouTube earnings.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. How old is this video and what's the speed of light? 7 cents. All right. Great watch time on that.
It's a great watch time, yeah.
Whenever humans are popping off and thinking we're a little too big for our britches, I like to remember that, this little dot from across the room, we're just another one of these dots.
I mean, can you imagine? You know what this video did for me? It made me realize going to the moon probably wouldn't be that scary.
Give me a visual.
I told you nothing. I see nothing.
You have a visual of Explorer.
No.
Relatively speaking.
Like, I would actually not be entirely opposed to going to the moon. Whereas before, the idea of space travel just sounds absolutely
Horrifying.
terrifying.
Yeah.
But if I drive my car 62 miles per hour,
I can make
I
it in
can
half
make it
a
to
year.
the moon in
Yeah.
160 days.
Yeah, less than half a year, in fact.
When you put it in that perspective, you're like, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Let's go to the moon.
Why not?
Yeah. Wait, how long does it take for a spaceship to get there? I'm not talking about like a NASA spaceship. I'm talking about like Enterprise.
We'll take 62 miles per hour and multiply it by like 5, 6, 700 miles an hour.
It takes some time to get there.
It'll take a minute, but less of a minute than it would by car. It'll take you less than half a year or whatever.
That's what we got to start working on. If we're going to make the Space Force, Trump.
Dude, we gotta have a space highway.
You got to have a space highway to make it to the moon.
Space infrastructure is what we need.
Oh, God. And I mean, if our president right now is, if he made his wealth off of real estate, you could start building hotels on the way to the
where's
moon.
The Trump moon
Yeah.
base, man.
Yeah.
Like, I need like a golden skyscraper on the moon
Dude,
just to know how good we're doing.
You got the biggest tower in the moon.
The biggest galaxies expanding. Everyone says it's expanding, and at such a alarming rate.
That's why he wants the Space Force to start building real estate outside.
Yeah, he needs somebody to protect all of his buildings that people are going to be egging and whatnot.
I'm sorry to all the people who think it's not okay to make jokes about Trump because he's our president and we live in a dictator like communist country, so don't make fun of the president.
Oh yeah. You're not allowed to say things that are against.
Definitely got in those comments. Yeah.
Free speech doesn't exist.
I mean, he can insult everyone and anyone all he wants, but don't criticize.
Until you disagree with me, and then at that point, we don't do this whole free speech thing. What are you talking about?
The way he broke down that photo when he was saying like, "This is the greatest photo I've ever seen."
Yeah. In human history.
I love the way he did that, where he's going through Earth and what we do. It's just a dot. We're just a dot in this world. It's like all the things that we think are important. Are they? Anytime I go to the Griffith and watch one of their awesome shows, I'm like, is what I do really relative at all? is me having an apartment and surviving
Yeah,
really
yeah,
doing
yeah.
anything?
When you zoom out across the galaxy, you start to realize, like, oh, all this shit that we're so concerned with down here,
like bills and all these things.
None of it is the natural order of things. It's just
No.
a bunch of stuff that we on Club Earth agreed to. You know.
If there's one thing, like, we'll barely. And I know by the time I'm dead, you'll be dead.
If you're dead.
You'll be dead long before I'm dead.
Oh, thanks, man. I hope I was doing something cool at the time of passing.
The one thing I would like to witness, if there's one hope, which seems so unlikely, to discover life on another planet. Not me personally, but just to watch like an internet report about it. You know, that's the only thing I want out of anything from the universe is to go, yeah, and also to be in the Space Force.
Space Force.
This video reintroduced the idea to me of just how limited our reach is in terms of how much we can see and how much we can get to in however vast the universe is.
Oh gosh.
And so now you start to think like, yeah, you know, probably just a stone's throw across the universe, there's probably another cluster of galaxies that's just way too far away for us to really get a good look at, and there's probably a whole bunch of stuff out there that we have no idea about. Because he said, like, that our furthest our radio signals have ever reached is at, you know, such and such a point. What if we just need to get a little further? I'm really fascinated by the kind of mindset it takes to be an astronaut.
I met a guy who was, he was one of the top 100. He didn't ultimately go through. At the time I met him, he was one of the top 100 candidates for that special mission to Mars movie. He was an actor
Mission to
auditioning,
Mars.
And he lost to Tim Robbins.
Yeah.
Oh, not the real.
Yeah.
He said the main tests were actually psychological tests, because it's mainly a psych game of you're out in space forever and you're not coming back.
Well, and especially with Mars being like a 20-minute wait to get any kind of word back and forth.
Just imagine that tax argument, man.
What the f***?
I did not say that to you. Go f*** yourself. And they take like 20 minutes to get it, then they take like 20 minutes composing their message.
You spend 20 minutes just ruminating, just being like, yeah. Yeah, you take that. What?
Checking your phone. Got it. Oh,
What are you gonna-
no, I'm gonna freaking go for my shit.
What are you gonna say? What are you gonna say?
Oh gosh, guys. Well, this was a really informative video.
Yeah.
I hope our talk was
Just as informative.
just as effective as what he said.
Just as enlightening.
Yeah, man. You guys can subscribe to the Real Life Lore. Thanks for making this awesome video. We're a year old, but we'll stand the test of our time.
Happy birthday.
And you can check us out on Patreon. We got TV show reactions, weekly Q&As, and also subscribe to the Real Rejects and click that notification bell. Much love to God.